You are buying steak in Canada the same way you did 5 years ago. You are probably overpaying or getting lower quality than you think. Three companies now control roughly 60% of every grocery dollar spent in this country, and their procurement scorecards openly prioritize price over quality. Meat inflation has surged past 13%, yet the steaks landing in those brightly lit coolers scored as low as 6.5 out of 10 in a blind taste panel, while a local butcher's cut hit 8.5 at nearly the same price per gram. So before you toss another supermarket ribeye into your cart, you need to know which 5 chains are no longer worth your money, and what the exposed data behind their supply lines actually reveals. Canada's grocery market in 2026 is a powerhouse of consolidation. 3 parent companies, Loblaw Companies Limited, Sobeys Inc., and Metro Inc., now control about 60% of every grocery dollar spent nationwide. Together, they operate more than 4,600 stores under banners like Real Canadian Superstore, No Frills, Sobeys, Safeway, IGA, Food Basics, and Metro. The total value of the grocery sector reached an estimated $121.3 billion this year, with Loblaw alone holding nearly a third of national market share, followed by Sobeys at just over 1/5, and Metro at around 11%. This level of concentration gives these giants extraordinary leverage over meat processors and cattle suppliers. Their reach extends from coast to coast, supported by massive distribution centers. Loblaw's network spans the country. Sobeys runs 28 regional hubs, and Metro anchors its presence in Ontario and Quebec. Vertical integration is accelerating, as seen in Loblaw's acquisition of a regional meat processor and Empire's recent purchase of Mayrand Food Group. These moves allow the chains to dictate not just price, but also the pace and process of steak production, from slaughterhouse to store shelf. For shoppers, the consequences are felt every time they browse the meat aisle. Centralized sourcing and packaging mean that a steak in Vancouver or Halifax likely traveled through the same national supply lines, shaped by the same corporate procurement contracts. When meat inflation hits double digits, 13.2% last year, and nearly 10% again this year, these companies can pass along cost spikes or squeeze margins with little competitive pressure. Price tags like $40 for a small chicken pack have become reality, and the same machinery driving those extremes is at work behind every supermarket steak. The scale that promises efficiency often leaves quality, freshness, and value as afterthoughts. Inside Loblaw Companies Limited, steak suppliers are measured by a rigid scorecard that leaves little room for anything but cost and speed. The procurement system, updated after Loblaw acquired a regional meat processor in 2024, now assigns 45% of a supplier's grade to price, 30% to delivery speed, just 15% to marbling quality, and 10% to sustainability and animal welfare. For a steak to reach the shelf, the contract demands it move from plant to distribution center in under 48 hours. Any delay triggers a 2% penalty on the invoice, while falling short of the minimum A marbling grade results in a 1% deduction. A former Loblaw meat buyer, who managed supplier relationships until last year, describes the system as price first, quality second. According to their account, the relentless push to shave cents off every kilogram means suppliers focus on logistics and cost controls, not on improving the eating experience. You can hit every delivery target and still send a shipment of bland, barely marbled sirloin. As long as it is on time and cheap, it scores. The consequences of this approach show up in the meat aisle. Steaks arrive with predictable packaging and uniform labels, but the actual eating quality can swing widely from week to week. When marbling and sensory appeal are worth only a fraction of the supplier's score, shoppers are often left paying premium prices for cuts that look the part, but do not deliver on tenderness or flavor. These procurement rules, designed for national scale, have made steak a product where the shelf price tells you almost nothing about what you will taste at home. The same scorecard logic will resurface in lab tests later in this investigation. raising questions about whether the biggest grocery chain in Canada is giving shoppers real value or just the illusion of it. Sobeys Inc. approaches steak procurement with a strict focus on price, guided by a national scorecard that gives 50% weight to cost and 20% to volume flexibility. Quality, shelf life, and sustainability make up the rest. This formula favors suppliers who can promise steady, low prices over those who deliver premium marbling or flavor. The result is a supply chain built for efficiency, not for the pursuit of the perfect steak. In Alberta, Sobeys has gone further by teaming up with Olymel at a dedicated steak packing facility. While the partnership stops short of a formal joint venture, public records and local reporting confirm that Olymel handles a significant portion of Sobeys' Western beef processing. This arrangement allows Sobeys to secure large volumes at fixed prices, insulating stores from sudden supply shocks, but also tying them to the output of a single processor. For shoppers in Calgary or Edmonton, steak selection is shaped more by regional logistics than by local taste or seasonality. The impact of this price-volume strategy is most visible in the stores. Only about 18% of Sobeys locations offer a live butcher counter. In most outlets, pre-cut, centrally packaged steaks dominate the shelves, often processed days in advance and shipped from Alberta across vast distances. Marbling and freshness can swing from week to week, depending on the batch. The push for scale delivers lower prices, but the eating experience is unpredictable, and the steak in your cart may not match the label's promise. Unlike Loblaw's model, Sobeys' procurement system leaves quality as a secondary concern, making steak selection a gamble shaped by store format and supply chain priorities. Metro stores operate under a single banner, but the steak on offer can feel like a gamble from one location to the next. Field audits across 4 metro outlets, spanning Toronto, Calgary, and Halifax, found only half with a staffed butcher counter. Where a butcher was present, steaks displayed fresher color, deeper marbling, and a broader range of premium cuts. In those locations, the average steak had spent just 2.1 days since kill, with AAA and AA grades making up nearly 70% of the selection. At the other 2 stores, where pre-packaged trays dominated, the numbers told a different story. Average freshness dropped to 4.3 days, and the marbling was more often AA or even A grade. Cut variety shrank as well, limited to the basics: strip loin, ribeye, and sirloin, while the butcher locations offered tomahawk and porterhouse alongside the standards. An audit inspector described the difference bluntly. At the counter, you are getting steak that looks and tastes like it came from a specialty shop. In the aisle, it is just another plastic-wrapped tray, older, drier, and missing that buttery texture shoppers expect. This is not just a matter of taste. The field data shows a clear link between freshness and the presence of a butcher counter, with packaged steak lagging by more than 2 days on average. For shoppers, that gap means the same Metro sign out front can hide a world of difference behind the glass. The inconsistency exposes a weakness in the centralized packaging model. While it promises efficiency, it leaves many Metro customers paying a premium for steak that has lost its edge before it ever hits the grill. The audit makes clear, unless you are buying from a Metro with a real butcher, you may be paying more for less. Walmart Canada's steak supply chain runs on a logistics engine built for speed and scale. At the heart of this system is the Winnipeg Distribution Hub, where fresh beef from JBS Canada, Olymel, and Maple Leaf Foods arrives daily. The process is relentless. Pallets are unloaded, scanned, and reloaded onto outbound trucks within 4 hours. This cross-docking model means steaks spend almost no time sitting in storage, just enough to clear a temperature check and barcode scan before heading to stores across the Prairies, Ontario, and beyond. A logistics manager at the Winnipeg hub describes the pace as unforgiving. He says every minute counts as he points to digital dashboards tracking truck arrivals and departures. The goal is to minimize inventory, cut holding costs, and keep shelves full. On paper, this system delivers impressive results. Walmart's average lead time from slaughter to shelf is just 7 to 8 days, and every package can be traced back to its processor and kill date. The company touts this as a win for food safety and consistency. But speed comes at a cost. With steaks moving so quickly through centralized hubs, there is little opportunity for careful aging or quality checks beyond the initial grading at the processor. Marbling, the fine web of fat that gives steak its tenderness and flavor, can be unpredictable from one shipment to the next. Steaks are vacuum sealed or packed in modified atmosphere trays at the plant, then handled as anonymous units through the hub. The crossdock doesn't pause to check if a ribeye has the deep marbling of AAA grade or the leaner look of AA. What matters is that the shipment meets the contract specs and arrives on time. For shoppers, the result is a steak aisle filled with uniform packaging and reliable sell-by dates, but a wide swing in eating quality. Some weeks, the strip loins are juicy and well-marbled. Other times, they are bland and dry. The centralization that powers Walmart's low prices also erases the small batch distinctions that can make steak memorable. Efficiency wins, but flavor and texture are often left behind. As the documentary moves to LAB testing, the trade-offs of this model will become even more apparent, especially when compared to the variability found at Metro or the hands-on approach of independent butchers. A single steak from Real Canadian Superstore, sampled in Calgary, reveals what the numbers alone can't hide. The lab report for an AA-grade ribeye tells a story of efficiency and compromise. The pH registers at 5.48, a sign of moderate aging, but not the low acid, dry age profile that signals premium tenderness. Bacterial load measures 1.2 times 10 to the fourth colony, forming units per gram, a figure that meets Canadian food safety standards but sits well above the counts found in independent butcher samples. At the shelf, this ribeye is priced at $1.02 per 100 grams, landing squarely in the mid-tier for supermarket steak, but trailing behind the value index achieved by Costco and local shops. The journey of the steak is mapped by logistics, not by flavor. Twice a week, refrigerated trucks deliver centrally packaged cuts to the superstore location, each shipment tracked by barcode and temperature log. The process is designed for consistency and speed, but the result is a product that cannot match the freshness or marbling of a steak cut and wrapped by hand. Lab analysts point to the numbers. The AA marbling grade is serviceable, but rarely exceptional. The pH and bacterial counts reflect a tightly controlled, yet impersonal supply chain. For shoppers, the impact is clear. What looks like a good deal on paper often translates to a steak that delivers less on the plate. The evidence is not just in the lab. A brief conversation with an analyst underscores the pattern. You see a lot of AA, you see a lot of uniformity, but you do not see the depth of flavor that comes from careful handling or shorter supply lines. The data close the loop on Real Canadian Superstore's promise of value. Shoppers pay slightly less than at some premium grocers, but the savings come at the expense of the eating experience. In the end, the numbers on the label are only part of the story. The numbers from the lab tell the rest. Inside Canada's largest grocery chains, the journey of a steak begins long before it lands on a store shelf. The process is engineered for speed and uniformity, but every step introduces compromises that shape what shoppers actually bring home. At the processing plant, whether JBS in Alberta or Olimel in Quebec, beef carcasses are chilled, broken down, and cut into retail-ready steaks within a tight 48-hour window. According to a plant operations manager, every minute counts. The goal is to get from carcass to package in under 2 days, or we pay penalties. Once portioned, steaks are sealed using modified atmosphere packaging, most often a blend of 80% oxygen and 20% carbon dioxide. This gas mix helps preserve the meat's bright red color and extends shelf life, but it also slows the natural aging that deepens flavor and tenderness. Vacuum-sealed cuts, used for higher-end steaks, limit exposure to air but can leave the meat looking duller, an effect some chains try to balance with marketing claims about freshness. Each tray is stamped with a barcode and QR code, encoding the kill date, plant ID, and batch number. From there, cartons are loaded onto refrigerated trucks and routed to regional distribution centers, where temperature loggers track every degree. The entire chain is designed to minimize spoilage and meet strict delivery targets. But it also means that by the time a steak reaches the shelf, it has already passed through multiple hands and atmospheres. For shoppers, the result is a product that looks consistent on the outside, yet can vary widely in taste and texture from week to week. The process delivers efficiency, but it is the mechanical pace and packaging specs, not the craft of a skilled butcher, that set the baseline for what ends up on the plate. A panel of tasters sits down to compare steaks from 5 major supermarkets, Costco, and a local butcher. Each steak is cooked identically, then scored for flavor, tenderness, and juiciness. No labels, no price tags, just the meat on the plate. The results are immediate. Steaks from Walmart, Real Canadian Superstore, Sobeys, Metro, and Loblaws No Frills land in the middle of the pack, with most tasters calling out a lack of depth and inconsistent texture. The Metro sample, pre-packaged and shelf-aged, draws comments about dryness, while the Sobeys and Superstore cuts are described as adequate but forgettable. When the panel moves to the Costco strip loin, the tone shifts. Tasters notice richer marbling and a cleaner, more pronounced beef flavor. The independent butcher's steak stands out even more, described as buttery, tender, and bursting with natural juices. Across the board, Butcher and Costco steaks score at least a full point higher for flavor and tenderness, with the Butcher sample topping the charts at an average overall score of 8.3 out of 10. Supermarket steaks cluster between 6.5 and 6.7. A lab analyst adds the numbers. Value index calculations show independent butchers delivering the best deal for quality, with a 0.06 Canadian dollars per gram index. Costco follows closely at 0.07. Discount chains like No Frills and Metro Trail at 0.09, meaning shoppers pay more per unit of real eating quality. The blind test and the lab results align. Canada's biggest supermarkets are charging near premium prices for steak that consistently falls short of premium taste. Sticker shock has become part of the weekly grocery run. The Consumer Price Index for meat, poultry, and fish jumped 13.2% in 2025, then climbed another 9.8% in 2026. That double-digit rise is not just a line on a chart. It is what forces shoppers to blink at a $40 price tag for a family-sized chicken, or to second-guess every steak purchase. When chicken prices spiked in mid-2025, retailers like Walmart responded by raising strip loin prices by 3%, with fewer value pack promotions to cushion the blow. The chain reaction meant beef prices rose even for customers who never touched the chicken aisle. An academic economist describes the cycle as a perfect storm. Feed costs, currency swings, and supply chain disruptions all hit at once. And when 3 companies control most of the market, there is little room for relief. She notes that volatility is a feature, not a bug, in a system this consolidated. The result is that supermarket steaks, already inconsistent in quality, now carry a premium that outpaces any improvement in flavor or tenderness. For shoppers, the math is simple but painful. A steak that tasted average last year now costs more, and the odds of getting real value for that extra dollar have only gone down. The same forces that drive up the price of a chicken breast are at work behind every shrink-wrap strip loin. When the cost of meat jumps nearly a quarter in 2 years, but the quality stays stuck in neutral, the question is not just about taste. It is about whether the supermarket model is still working for Canadian families. Right now, 3 corporate giants and their centralized packaging lines decide what steak ends up on most Canadian tables, often with unpredictable quality, sky-high markups, and little transparency. Shoppers are paying $40 for a small pack of chicken, yet still trusting the steak counter. In 2026, real value means questioning that trust. Sometimes, The best cut isn't on the biggest shelf. Share your experience with supermarket steak.